What's up YouTube? My name is Bedivere. Welcome to another episode of Zero to Hero. In today's episode, we are going to be diving back into Factorio with a shorter, more informative episode on how to set up your first rail network, or at least the beginnings of it. We're going to be going over the number of lanes as well as the spacing of lanes, and more importantly, how to deal with train signals as well as chain signals. They're very similar, but they operate in very different ways, and I feel like this would be a nice, short, concise video on how to deal with that. So if you like the video, make sure to smash that like button, hit the subscribe button if you haven't, and if you want a little bit more one-on-one content, I do stream every Thursday and Sunday over at twitch.tv/Bedivere. I play a variety of strategy games, not just Factorio, so if you'd like to chat with me, be a part of my community, there's probably the best place to interact with me. All right, let's dive right in. Yellow science is a pain. All right, so we got this going. We got blue belts that can be made. Ooh, I completely missed mining productivity. Let's go ahead and do that. Mining productivity ahead of everything. Let's go ahead and add logistics robots, because that way then we can have those storage chests and we can upgrade stuff. Let's go ahead and do then these two so that we can unlock the yellow science, and then we can do some of the more fun stuff. Actually no, let's do these power poles, because that's going to be used to get our defenses in order. Do I not have stack inserters? I do have stack inserters. Okay, that's one thing that's important. After that, let's go with lab research speed so that we can be efficient as we can in our research. But honestly, like the direction you go in research doesn't really matter all that much. It really doesn't. But I do have the nuclear power stuff, right? Let's go ahead and look at that. Oh, I need concrete. No, if that's going to be the next thing that we do, let's go ahead and rush that. Uranium processing. Uranium power. I should have been doing that all along. Then Covarex. What do I need for Covarex? Oh, the rocket fuel. And then I can do Covarex. Okay, that's good. And then we'll do the mining. Man, we're behind in our research. That's my fault. I was focused too much on building for you guys. All right, but what we can do while we wait for our research is we can set up our rail network. I think that's a good thing. We can set up our rail network so that we can start mining this uranium ore and then bring that to our uranium or nuclear fuel kind of processing plant. And then we could set up our nuclear power. There's a big lake over here that I want to set up the nuclear power for. And we should have, yeah, we should have these running with landfill, which is a good thing. Okay, let's go ahead and do that. Gonna need to put that there. Okay. So, what do we need? We're gonna need a bunch of rails. Rails is gonna be huge. I do want to set... Oh, I don't even have the bad logistics stuff. Let's put some spare rails in there. Oh, well, that's a little disappointing. We will need a bunch of these signals as well as the big electric poles. Let's go ahead and grab 50 of those. Let me recycle my stone into there. Take an extra 60. Perfect. Where's our research being done here? Are they all working okay? Yeah? Okay, I just want to make sure. And then we got our purple science going in. There we go. Okay. What's going to be researched after concrete? I just want to make sure that we're good to go. Yeah, we should be fine. Okay, so I want to place the start of a highway system close to here. I want it to go past on the other side of this lake. So I want to make sure that it clears. You know what I mean? And I'm gonna lay down I'm gonna do 4 lanes of rails. The lanes are gonna go like so. Okay. Gonna go 1 lane here. Oh, actually, I wanna do that as a ghost. I'm not exactly sure where. 1 lane here, and add 2 spaces for rails, and then another lane. Okay, that's one direction. That's gonna be our going down or right side. Then we got 1, 2, 3, and then on the 4th one, lay down another, and then 1, 2 spaces for rails, lay down another. Right. So the reason why we do 2 spaces for rails on the outside is to leave room for, what am I doing? There you go. That type of intersection, right? That's the minimum distance in order to merge 2 rails like that. The reason why I do 3 in here is because rails are on a 2x2 grid in Factorio. Remember how we had, let's see, let me place down a ghost right here. The tiles for the belts are on 1x1. Factorio is on 2x2, or the rails are on 2x2. And you can see, if I do a cut and hold this, it won't go on the middle 2 tiles. It'll only jump to the next full 2x2, right? So this helps a lot with placing power poles as well as laser turrets. For example, if I want to place a power pole, right? I don't want to place it in the middle of one. I want to place it right on top of one of those tiles. And the same thing with power poles. You're going to see, or not power poles, but laser turrets. Let me add a laser turret right here. You'll get to notice in the laser turret spacing, you want to fill up as much space as possible in the given space that you have. And if you're 1 tile off, for example, like you could be 1 tile off from your rails and only be able to fit 2 instead of being exactly aligned and being able to fit 3. You know what I mean? So that's why it's good to have the rails on the right tiles. Okay. All right, so let's go ahead and we're gonna cut this. Actually, no, we're gonna paste. I want this long, and then we're gonna cut it, okay? Then we go to map view, and one part of one of the more recent updates that's amazing is that you can see where your tracks lie in the map, right? So if we want it on the right side of the lake here, we can zoom in, we can space it out a little bit past the lake, just to give us a little bit room. And then we can press the S key to go straight down. We don't move our mouse, and then we know that everything's in line. We're not moving left to right at all, right? Now, this is where our rail would be. If I press click, or if I click my left mouse button and go out of the map, you see that the rail has been placed. Now, it's a little far from where we're gonna put our little station for sulfuric acid. So if you want to bring it a little bit closer, you can Control X, cut that, and it'll actually do it in the map view, which is fantastic. And you can bring it down a little bit closer if you want to the lake. Come down, place a rail like so. And there you go. It's a little bit closer, a little bit nicer. I think that's perfect. So that's going to be where our rails are going to go. Now let's make room. Where are my bombs? There we go, grenades. Let's go ahead, make a little room for a little mini train station. There we go. All right, so that's good to go. Let's go ahead and, that was a waste, okay. Let's go ahead and bring these pipes up a tad more. I think that's going to be good. It's going to be perfect. And then we are going to pump in to a couple pipes, or a couple tanks. That's what they're called, right? Tanks. And I'm missing iron plate for another tank. I'm gonna need 4 in total. Let me take a little bit off that. Boom, 4 tanks. Now here, I'm just testing out the spacing a little bit. Tanks to rails. Oh, and that's perfect. Okay, so this is where our little station is going to be. Let's give ourselves a little bit more room. And we're going to be running all of our trains having 2 locomotive heads, or 2 locomotives, not 2 locomotive heads. That doesn't make any sense. Let's go on this side. Right? And then what we can do is we can place a train station. Do we have a station? We don't, but I can make one. It won't take long. There we go. Now we're going to be on the right side. So let's go ahead. And these yellow lines are our spacer indicators for both locomotives and wagons. So I want to line up the 3rd brick with that pump. And it turns out that I did it exactly. Pat myself on the back for knowing about Factorio. There we go. So this is going to be our main base dash acid depot. Okay, that's what we're going to name it. Main base dash acid. Okay, and then we're going to bring our train back out, and then it can either turn right, and join and merge onto the highway, or we can turn left and join onto this side. Okay, simple as that. And I'm waiting to place my power poles on purpose. Don't worry. Don't worry. You're gonna get ahead of me. Don't worry about it. All right. So then let's place our pumps for this side. Trim up the fat a little bit. Oh, not enough rails. Okay, let's go ahead. Grab our rails from here. And then there we go. So this is going to be the right side. So it's either going to come off the right side or keep going forward on the, this is like almost like the left lane on the highway. You keep going, you exit from the right side. That's my thinking of it. Or you can come from up here and exit out the left. There's no bridges, unfortunately, without mods. There are like tunnels and jumps and all sorts of crazy mods that the lovely Factorio community has done. But we're gonna try to be as vanilla as we can, just to learn the basics of how we do things in Factorio. Or not how we do things. That sounds like there's a right way to play when there's really not. It's just preferred method. All right, let's go ahead and add our power poles. We're gonna power this stuff as well as power this pump. And then we're gonna go ahead and add a couple here because we can. Gonna connect that to power, and now these tanks are going to start filling up. And this tank will start filling up first because that's where the pump is, but it'll leak into the other ones until they're all good to go. And you can see that the battery production is already backed up, so we're not using everything that we got in this tank. So this tank is gonna empty all the way into here. All right, now let's set up our chain signals. Chain signals and regular signals are a huge part of Factorio that a lot of people get wrong, and I'm going to explain to you how to do them, how to work with them right now. All right, so we have 2 things, the rail signal and the rail chain signal. The rail signal will break up rail segments into chunks, right? And then there can only be one train or one entity on a rail chunk at one given time, right? So what we want to do is we want to basically block off this section here, and that's perfectly fine. Don't worry about that. And then these chain signals are signals that read ahead until they find a rail signal. So this chain signal will read ahead and chain together other chain signals ahead of it until it finally finds a rail signal in front. It will read that color and then relay that chain all the way back to the beginning. Okay, so if you see a chain signal at the beginning, it chains all the way front to the path that the train wants to take, sees that the signal ahead of it is red, signaling that there's a train ahead of that on that chunk. then it'll signal that red signal back to the beginning of the chain and mark it. Is it good to go or not, right? So when you're crossing an intersection, you always want a chain signal, right? When you're at the beginning of a cross, you want a chain signal. At the end of a cross, I'm just gonna add a couple of these. At the end of a cross, you want a rail signal, right? So you're starting these chunks starting to form, right? These rail, and let me just add another one. So you can see, okay. So these rail signals here start or break up rails into chunks. So if there's a train on here, this rail signal will turn red, saying anything on this chunk will stop until this chunk here is clear, and then it'll turn green, signaling that these guys can go, okay? That's the essence of what rail signals are. Chain signals, like I said before, this is going outbound, so let's make sure that that arrow's there. Crossing an intersection, or that's the end of one, then we're crossing, and then we're also gonna eventually cross, okay. So I went a little fast there, but these chain signals here are gonna read ahead to further and further chain signals, okay? Let me actually add these two chain signals up here, just so that I can iron out my point further. Let me just finish this little bit. That way you guys can follow along and know what I'm talking about. If you're a vet to Factorio, then you probably don't know this. Maybe you need a refresher. But if you're new to Factorio, this is definitely gonna help. Okay, so let's run through this. Chains, actually, this light blue block, right? This is where our train station is at. If there's a train in here, this signal here will turn red, causing no more trains to come in, okay? Saying, hey, this chunk ahead of me is blocked. Red signal, no one come, okay? We'll go back to that and why that's important. First, this chain signal is going to read ahead to where this eventual train wants to go. Say this train wants to go outbound and go south, right? It'll read ahead to eventually find the start of this chunk that it wants to go on. So it'll find whichever chain leads to this rail signal, right? That chain is this way. So read forward, that's it. So right now this signal is green. It relays that back, causing this one to be green, causing this one to be green. So if this whole chain is green, it'll mark this signal okay to go. All right? The whole chain has to be green in order for the train to go past this rail signal, okay? If the train wants to go up north, it has a lot longer of a chain to go through. The next rail signal that allows the train to go up north is no is here, okay? This is, in order for this train to go up north, it needs to go along this path, right? This is the next rail signal along this path that can give the green light, red light, all right? So what it'll do is if it's green, it'll relay that green signal down to here, this signal, this one, all right? And this entire chain has to be green in order for this train to go from here up here, right? If there's a train crossing down this way, there's a train crossing here. If there's a train crossing, actually here doesn't matter, but if there's a train crossing down, and here, anywhere along this line, it'll say, wait for that train to pass, and then you can go, right? So that's why train signals, or chain signals, as well as regular rail signals, are incredibly important to use, especially at junctions, at places where trains cross, because you can get a backup of trains. If you just use, say, the rail signals, you can get a backup of trains, and then all of them are stuck because they can't move anywhere, right? So that way you leave, if this train stops here, right? This train stops here, then it leaves the entire path for all the other trains to keep going. If, say, this train stopped here instead, Now we got this rail and this rail blocked, right? If this rail and this rail are blocked, then we have two trains coming down there that block this way. Well, then now there's two trains blocking here, but then that blocks this intersection. And what if we have a train coming down this way that wants to turn left? Well, it can't turn left because there's trains blocking here. And then this train can never keep going on here because there's a train waiting here to turn left. So you get, if you don't use these correctly, you can get a huge block up that will never clear up until you manually fix it. So that's why you use the chain signals as well as the regular rail signals to keep intersections clear until you can fully pass them. All right. And then obviously just to rail the point home, rail, pun not intended. It's the same thing here. If you want a train coming down this way to go into the acid depot, I guess it's called. If it's red, it won't clog up the intersection here. It'll wait here. It'll wait here until this chunk is clear, right? If this is red, meaning that the chunk is occupied, it'll shoot that red signal up here and cause this chain signal to say, nope, you can't go down there. So any train that wants to go in here will wait. Now, if a train wants to keep on going, this can be red, but then this signal can be green way down here saying it's good to go. And since there's a mix of colors, this will turn blue. Okay, blue is the signal that one potential path is red and you can't go, but another potential path is open. And if you want to take that, then you can. So this path right here is closed. So you're gonna have to stop. But this path going ahead is completely green and open. So you can keep on going if you want to. So any trains that want to keep on going, they'll be allowed while this train stopped here. Right? So there you go. That was your master class in Rails. I just taught y'all how to rail. Sorry. I had to. It's been a long day at work. All right. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to place the power poles here. And then I'm going to see if I can... they won't reach. They won't reach. So let me try again. Let me try to put the rails here. All right. That reaches. And that reaches. Perfect. Now what we'll do, we'll go ahead and we'll add all of these long power poles. Perfect. And then I will copy and paste. Copy and paste the rails. I'm going to shift copy and paste and let go of the left mouse button, delete this, create blueprint, and just continue the rails up. There we go. And then last but not least, I think that'll end it for today. Last but not least, I'm going to add some here. Perfect. And then what I like to do is let's add them there. So what you want to do, especially with rails, is, hold on, I need to do that up here as well. I probably shouldn't have done it down there, but it's fine. I think I remember which tile I put them on. Put them on the second tile of the 2x2 chunk and the second tile of the 2x2 chunk. All right, perfect. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a blueprint. There we go. And I'm going to save that. And that's going to be our 4x4. Let's go ahead and add a couple symbols. 4x4 straight lane. Okay. So I'm going to name it 4-lane straight. Okay. Create blueprint. I'm going to press B. And I already have a book that has it. I just wanted to let you guys know how to build it. In order to put it into a book, you want to right click, left click, and drop it. And actually, oh, I didn't do lights on this one. So I'm going to delete the one that I just did, but you guys don't delete it. And then I'm just going to use this blueprint right here that I already made prior. I'm going to copy and paste that down, and that'll have lights, which we need lights. Now, the reason why you want to put signals every few, and I'm running 2x8 trains, so right now that should be 10 yellow or 10 white spots total. And if you count from top to bottom, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Oh, it's actually less than 10. But either way, you want to space some of them out so that, for example, if you have a train passing and you just have one signal here, and then you have another signal way on the other side of the map, that's one big chunk that if there's any one train along that whole chunk, it'll mark that one signal red. And the train's gonna have to wait till it crosses all the way down in order to pass. And obviously that's not really efficient because you're having trains wait for no reason when the trains ahead of them are so far ahead of them that they're no danger. So you want to place these at some intervals so that, you know, if a train's on this chunk here and a train on this chunk here, the train here will cross into here without worrying about the train ahead. You know, it'll keep on flowing up and up and up. So that's why you want to have some form of interval. But I think that's what all the time that we had for today. I know we ran super long. I think I'm gonna chop this up into a couple videos. That train tutorial went pretty long, but that's a very complicated thing that a lot of people get wrong, and you know, I wanted to do a real deep dive into that. But thank you so much for joining me. If you enjoyed the content, please don't hesitate to leave a like, hit the subscribe button if you haven't, as well as that little notification bell. It really does help me and lets me know that you guys are appreciating the content and lets me know what you want to see. Probably the best way to let me know what you want to see is to actually tell me. So go ahead and leave any comments, suggestions, feedback, or if you just want to roast me and tell me that I'm doing it wrong, you can leave me a comment there. I don't care. It's fine. I do stream on Twitch every Thursday and Sunday afternoon/evening. I stream a variety of strategy games, not just Factorio. So if you want to do a little bit more one-on-one, get to know me, get to know the community that we're starting to build, that's a great place to meet me or have any questions about any strategy game that I might play. Like I said, not just Factorio. Go ahead, follow all those links to all my socials, including Twitch, Twitter, Instagram, all in the description down below. Check that out. And thank you again for joining me. I really appreciate all the support. All right, I'll see you guys next time. Thank you.